Welcome everybody, my name is Mr. Llama. I am bringing you another episode of Winning with Ease. This is going to be playing against Skytoss, so I'm going to have to do against Skyterran as well. I wasn't sure if that was, somebody wanted that ZvT though, maybe that was PvT dealing with Skyterran. But yes, so there is the occasion where you'll be playing a game, and all of a sudden you're playing a game as Zerg ZvP, and you're sitting there expecting maybe like Immortals, Sentries, Colossus, things like that. You got all your Lingroach army, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes 8 carriers and some Void Rays, and you are like, yeah, what exactly is going on here? And so it just, completely obliterates you, and you're like, well, I don't know what to do against that. And you get some Hydras, and the carriers destroy the Hydras, and then you try and get some Infestors, and the carriers take those out. Sometimes Infestors can be good versus it. But I'm basically going to show you kind of how I go through this game, how I kind of react, why I go for certain things, why I kind of play a very macro-oriented style here for sure. And just kind of lead you through kind of my style as I do play against this. So, this is the little text, just ignore that. That's just me having fun with my buddy, because yeah, we're just good friends, so we like to play around. So anyways, I will send out my scout at 14. I just like to scout on 14. Sometimes you can get over there and deny the Nexus with it. Sometimes, if it's a longer map, something like that, you can't. And I think actually in this game, I kind of forget. I'm too busy talking. I send the drone in here, so I don't get the deny on the Nexus first. But regardless, no big deal. Try and deny it if he's going Nexus first, but if not, I'm not too worried. I just do my typical, 14 or 15 pool, and then I get a hatch on 21, my 4 lings, and then if he blocks that, I'll take my 3rd, and then I can just take the natural right after. So really not a big deal. But really quickly, we'll do new subscriber shoutouts. So we have Muffab666, Cohen Dirksen, Matt Nolan, Jason H, 42,000, Sharky FR, Sangmin, Jeremy Petapiece, Dardanose, Sam Sklopkin, Cedric Bryan, Radioactive Girl, and Mwad Dibfan. So thank you very much, guys, for subscribing to my channel. I hope you guys have learned something or do just enjoy my casting. But yeah, and like I said in the last video, I'll go ahead and kind of re-say it in this video. Somebody was saying, saying all the sub names at the beginning is kind of annoying, blah blah blah, something like that. And I was like, all right. It's fine if you feel that way. So please, if you're going to say something like that, just offer up a better way, or a way that you think would be more beneficial. So be like, hey, I think it'd be better if you shout it out at the end, or if you put it in text or something like that. Constructive criticism really is better. So I'm going to go ahead and pick off this probe right here, and like I said, he Paladin blocks, I'll just take my 3rd, and then I can just throw it on my natural really quick anyways, and I'll be just fine. I have my queen out, so I can inject with this dude, and then I like to do queen transferring. This is something that I'd say you should get used to. Also, don't wait 10 energy to inject. So that was a little bad on my part. I was doing something else. But yeah, so here I can send my Overlord over here down to my 3rd, and because I started my 3rd before my natural, if it was my natural, then I'd send him down to my natural. Then I can, of course, have started this other queen, so he'll pop at that time. Then once he injects, I can transfer him here and then start yet another queen. So at this point, I'm just droning. I'll take a gas probably in a little bit. This is usually to get early speed. In this game, I actually forget my early speed, which is, a no-no. Don't do that. But yeah, you can get your early speed off of that. And then I have this Overlord hovering over here while the Cybernetics Core is building. Basically, as soon as the Cybernetics Core finishes, I'm going to want to get this guy out of here. But this way I can see if he's taking a really, really fast gas and what exactly is going on. So I do a little drone transfer, and now I'm just going to kind of keep droning up, keep making my queens, and just macroing up like a good little Zergy. And here I should be moving this Overlord out of the way fairly soon. But see, having him in here, I can now see that he gets this gas right here, which is huge for me, and even may be worth sacrificing that. I'm not going to actually lose it. I'll be just fine. But it's very, very nice to be able to see this go down, because now I know, oh, he's getting this gas right here. So that means he's at least on 3 gas, which means I can drone a little longer. I'm not going to be seeing any like 4-gate pressure. Generally, or something like that. And then here I can see this other gas go down as well. That's huge. If not, I of course could just move him down here, over here, and and then back here to check for it. But seeing those 4 gas is really big because right now this says 2 things. This says, number 1, I can drone really well because I did see a stalker out there, not a sentry, so that's kind of indicative it's not going to be more of an immortal sentry all in. Generally he'd be boosting out that sentry or something, then the sentry would be attacking the overlord. But if for some reason he does get a stalker first, you don't exactly know. So he could get that stalker first and then try and go immediately into it after that. I'm still going to have to check later and such, but right now I still feel pretty safe. I can start droning. I can start adding on gases like I have 3 gas right here. And now I can just kind of be in a decent position. Seeing those double gas though, there's a few things. 1, double Stargate. 2, Stargate expand. 3, Immortal Sentry all in or Immortal Sentry expand. So those are really the options that you're going to see with this style of opener right here. Either way, pressure's not going to hit till like 10 minutes, something around there. If it is the double Stargate, it'll hit a little earlier, 9, something like that. But regardless, it's not too bad. And here, just going to continue droning up. As you can see, I hit 70 supply at 8 minutes. That's a great benchmark to hit. Continue getting my gas there, so I'm on 4 gas now. And like I said, I forgot that speed. Speed should have gone down way earlier, but I will get my lair at the 8-minute mark and also throw down an Evo chamber because it is 8 minutes. So just in case there's airplay coming down, now I, of course, can get spores up to defend against that. So just continuing to drone, as you can see, already at 63 drones. Here I'm going to start scouting in with this Overlord to look for a 3rd base and a Ling. And what am I going to see? I'm going to see Zealot. Doesn't really look Immortal Sentry to me. Plus, I see his probe that was heading over there to try and take a 3rd base. So that right there is already telling me, okay, not Immortal Sentry. And of course, this right here says, yeah, it's not an Immortal Sentry at all. So I'm just going to throw down some Spore Callers here all around, get a couple in my main, get a couple at my 3rd, and this will just kind of deny all that pressure. He will be able to pick off this Extractor, unfortunately. Could have put that up a tiny bit or something. But really, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what's going on. So I had 15 drones in production right there. And you can look at my drone count. I'm at 76 right now. I'll keep going up because at this point, I can just be so macro-oriented. I can throw down a macro hatch right here. I can go ahead and get another queen. I'd actually recommend getting another queen at this point just in case you lose one. And then, of course, I can start my infestation pit as well. So here, I'm actually going to start... +1 range. I think I cancel it and instead opt to get melee because I decided at this point I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go for mass mutas. Just because mass muta versus the double Stargate, isn't a bad idea, especially just against those void rays. Mutas are great against void rays. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go for that and try it out. And so I'm just going to go ahead and you'll be like, oh, you're stockpiling so much money. Well, yeah, that's because I'm going to be getting a Spire down, and so I was trying to save up a ton of gas. So I got this infestation pit. But then I was like, I want to go for Spire Tech, so that should be coming down any second now. Any second now. We'll check back here in like 5 seconds, I suppose. Nah, we'll just wait here, because it's going down. There it is. So I decided to throw my Spire down, so that's why I kind of was like, trying to hang around a lot of gas right there. And such. So I do get my macro hatch down, and taking a 4th at this time can be difficult. I'd recommend trying it at least though, simply because if you can build a bunch of spore callers up here, this is probably a great way to do it. Build spore, like 4 spores up here against that double Stargate, and then you can go down. If he's not blocking this, just send your spores down and root them immediately. I have my creep tumor moving out, but if you have an overlord out here, you can start spreading creep around, and then you can just go and root all your spore crawlers in while your hatch builds. So that's a great way to get your 4th up. As you can see, I'm sitting comfortably on 75, 74 drones right there. I should be mining from that geyser. That's kind of a silly thing. On my part, I was focusing elsewhere, but here, he's going to be able to bring in enough void rays that he should be able to deal with it. 5 void rays does a decent amount of damage, so he'll be able to get this cancel, and then you can force that cancel as well. But really, I'm not in a terrible position. I know that he's going to have taken a 3rd behind this. But as you can see, I've stockpiled so much money up, I can do a ton of damage right here. I'm just going to get a crap ton of mutas out. And then I, of course, can go see what else is he doing. Right here, I already know, hey, you know what? He's going for a decent amount of an investment in air, because that's 5 void rays right there that I saw. And so now I'll be able to, of course, just start pumping out Mutalisk, 18 mutas right there. So I can really start, doing some damage with them, getting in, kind of scouting with them, and just kind of really seeing, what exactly is going on. I do have a lot of money right here. I'd recommend actually throwing down maybe even another macro hatch if you have this much money to just start really making lings. So as I was saying before, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going with this game simply because there's a lot of Skytoss to deal with. So I can kind of show you in the later part of it. But I want to say this is kind of the initial reaction to that Skytoss. Drone, macro, get a macro hatch. You can start getting upgrades. You can start getting all your gas. Throw it on your infestation pit. I throw down the spire simply because I see so many void rays. I like to get this just in case. If he decides to transition to robo play, which a lot of players will, then my mutas can just do a ton of damage. And if he of course decides to continue with airplay, then I at least can get in and scout that. So I don't even really want to watch what happens with these Mutalisks because it is not the prettiest thing. I thought Mutalisk would do a little bit more damage versus Void Ray Carrier. Apparently they do not though, so I'm going to be able to kill off, a Carrier and maybe like a couple Void Rays here. But I will end up losing these mutas, unfortunately. So that was a little bit of a sad play on my part right there. But I'm going to go ahead and get a 4th base established while I'm doing this. And there go all my poor mutas. So I'd recommend backing those off, actually. You can save them later for the DPS if you want to join up with your army. So pretend like any army that I have now suddenly has 20 more Mutalisk in it. And you'll see the damage that can be done from them. And here I have, my other base is going up. I've got my 4th up now. So I can go start taking the gas over there. I can kind of start going and droning and getting spores up over there as well. And now this is the important thing that I want to talk about. I'm going to start transitioning into Corruptors. You want Corruptors against a Carrier Void Ray army. I cannot emphasize it enough. And not only that, you want upgraded Corruptors. If you can get, and I'd actually recommend getting Carapace before the attack upgrade here if you only have this one Spire. So I'm going to throw down a 2nd Spire fairly shortly. I do believe it should be coming down pretty soon. I've been bad at guessing when I'm going to drop my Spire here, but you want to drop a Spire pretty soon, and you want to abuse the mobility, right? So he's going to have a decent number of cannons. As you can see, he's already got 5. I think he's got like 8 or something over here. So as a Protoss, they're just going to try to abuse all of the cannons, so then they can go and pressure with their voids and their carriers, but if you just keep massing up the lings with your spare minerals and then just keep going Corruptor, and as you can see, there's the 2nd Spire throwing down, you can just continue to get these upgrades, which are so important. Please get the upgrades, because every upgrade of Carapace that you had, like I said, I should have done these in reverse order, but every upgrade of Carapace that you had, the Interceptors do 1 less damage. Each interceptor, so they already don't do much damage, so you are really negating any damage that they're doing, and it just makes it so much more difficult for him to take out your army. So here I see that he's moving out. I saw his carriers and his Void Rays right here. There they all are. So what do? I just run in with all my lings, and now I can just stream them by, attack this, and easily just take out his 3rd base. So I will lose a base right here. Not too awful, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep massing up my Corruptors right here, and I should be okay. I'm going to lose some of these lings right here, but eventually I'm going to be able to get in, take out his 3rd, and just be completely fine. And as well, I can continue to throw down some Spore Crawlers here, because I have droned up a decent amount. I'm at 84 drones, so it's not terrible. So with this, you can press forward. I want you to focus fire these units. Do not sit around and not focus fire them. Contaminate as well. So contaminate and focus fire, and there it'll just do a ton of damage. As you can see right there, I did have to back off for a tiny bit, but I've got a ton more Corruptors being built. Plus I have my Spore Crawlers going down, and so now I suddenly am back up to 10 Corruptors. I can easily just come in and, like I said, just focus fire down these units. Focus fire down these units, and he really won't be able to do too much. Contaminate and focus fire, and you can easily just take out his entire army with that. Corruptors are so strong, and this is only with that +1 upgrade. If you get on your gases even faster and don't burn through 18 mutas, you can get even faster upgrades, right? So you can get that 2-2. You could be easily pushing 2-2 right now. I already have 1-1 and 2-2 about halfway done at this point, which is just so critical to really just winning this game so easily, because when you have that mass, when you have the mass Corruptors together with Contaminate and stuff, you can just go in and one-shot carriers basically, which you'll see later on in the game, especially when they're upgraded, and then his Interceptors really won't do very much damage. So here I'm going to go ahead and start throwing down additional bases. I'm going to throw down extra macro hatches. Like I said, when you're floating money, there is no reason to just not start throwing hatches down all over the place. Throw them down in your base, throw them down in between his macro hatches, whatever it is. Just keep throwing them down. I'm going to get on my gas right there, and so now I can once again continue to mass up these Corruptors, continue to mass up the Zerglings, and they do have the 1-1, of course. And if you have spare gas, you can try and get that 2-2, but I'd say focus on these upgrades first. So there you can see I've got the 2-1 coming out now. And I've got a decent amount of Corruptors. Also, I want to say get Overseers in this army. It's so important to have some Overseers. I know you want to be very stingy with your gas right now because you're getting upgrades, you're getting tons of Corruptors, which cost a lot of gas. But you want to be able to get these Overseers simply because they will be so good when he has that mothership out, so you can easily just see things and focus down the carriers, or of course focus down the mothership, whatever it is. So here I'm going to kind of scout in, see exactly what he's got, see if he's got his third base up. Okay, no he doesn't. I can poke over here, I can pick off one carrier right there pretty easily and just back out. And at this point, trading's not a terrible idea. Once he gets that, really mass army, it's more difficult to deal with than if he just has a smaller army. And of course, like I said, just keep making your Corruptors over and over and over and over again. And of course, Lings are a great unit, and they will just simply abuse the fact that he doesn't have Colossus or anything like that. So you can just mass in these Lings, and then you can just focus down the third, whatever it is. So here I'm going to bring over some of my Corruptors and just start focusing out some of its carriers right there, continuing to punish him, and now I can just back out, head over to this base if I want, which I do believe I will do. And I should have moved some of those over there to deal with those cannons. Oh, but that's okay. So, you know what? I lost a lot of Corruptors right there. But once again, not a big deal. I killed off a ton of carriers. I've got a lot of Corruptors right here in the back. And I still have a ton of money. I'm going to start taking the gas here at my 5th and 6th base. So once again, the more gas, the better that you can harvest at this point. And so now it's just continuing to get these upgrades. I've got the +2 now completed for my attack, so now I can get +2 Carapace fairly shortly, and then as well I can get a Hive, which will be very important for a little bit later on, so I can get my +3 upgrades, of course. And then, if he does try and transition to ground, which usually you won't see too often, you can get the Greater Spire. So at this point, as you can see, it's pretty heavily in my favor. Yes, he's going to still be able to start massing up the carrier army, but I have got so many Corruptors right now. How many do I have? 28 Corruptors at this point. They've got the 2-1 upgrades, which are just very, very difficult for me to deal with. And like I said, at this point, I can start one-shotting units. I can just, push them together, go in, contaminate one-shot. I don't even have to contaminate, I believe, for a one-shot right here. So I'm just going to kind of check around. I can poke in. Like I said, I've expanded all over the place. I'm starting to just take stuff everywhere. And here we'll go ahead and poke in and see, oh, hey, you know what? He's bringing up that third. Well, I've got more Lings I can stream in to do some damage. So I can come over here, and this is going to just be an example of what you can basically just one-shot right there. So just get in and then get out, If you can go in and do some damage, that's totally fine. If you can't, oh well, you got in, you kind of scatter around, and that's it. So now I'm just going to once again bring in some more Lings to try and do some damage. This is going to force him to kind of push out because he really doesn't have much left. This is kind of his last base right here. And I'm just going to continue maxing up. I've got the Hive underway. I've got the +2 Carapace underway. And he really doesn't have much beyond that. So it's really just going to come down to him having to try and engage into, 32 Corruptors. And he knows that he can't do that. As you can see, he only has, 5, 6, 7, 8 carriers right here. That's not going to do anything against 32 Corruptors that do have the 2-2 upgrade there. So that's a very easy way to just deal with Skytoss, and definitely a very great way to react when you do see that he's going for that double Stargate. You see the double gas right there, and then you get in, you see he's trying to take a third, you see he's going for the Void Rays right there. You know what? Just drone up to 80 freaking drones. Who cares? Because there's not going to be anything. Drop a couple Spore Crawlers, of course, but really you'll be just fine. So my name's MrLlama. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and I will see you guys next time.